See, all good. That's good. So yesterday we had discussion about the Spring Data JPA, and almost our Spring Data JPA is completed. Today I'm going to discuss with you about the topic that is association mapping. If I'm talking about the association mapping, then in the association mapping, two types of mapping is available. The very first type of mapping is actually available called unidirectional mapping, and the second type of mapping is actually referred as the bidirectional mapping. Already you have covered this topic. Then everyone, if I'm talking about the association mapping, then in case of the association mapping, we are having mainly four types of relationships. In case of four types of relationships, the first type of relationship is called one-to-one relationship. Second type of relationship is called one-to-many relationship. Third type of relationship is called many-to-one relationship. And the fourth type of relationship is called many-to-many relationship. And everyone, there is one master trick to remember what is the default fetch type. See, if I'm talking about the second number mapping and if I'm talking about the fourth number mapping, the second and the fourth number mapping, they are actually ending with the letter Y. Both those who are actually ending with the letter Y, their fetch type is also ending with the letter Y. So can you say one thing that whatever relationship that is actually ending with many, its fetch type is going to be lazy. Clear? Whatever relationship that is ending with letter Y, its fetch type is also ending with letter Y. So for one-to-many relationship, for many-to-many relationship, if somebody is asking you what is the value of the fetch type, then you should always answer that the value of the fetch type is going to be lazy. This is the one thing that actually you should keep into mind. And similar to that, everyone, one more thing is available, that is all about cascade. If I'm talking about the cascade relationship, then we are having all, we are having persist, we are having merge, and we are having remove. Meaning you already know, if I'm talking about the cascade type equal to all, then meaning of the cascade type equal to all is very, very simple. Just whatever operation you are doing, whether it is insert operation, whether it is update operation, whether it is simple, you can say delete operation, it is going to be propagated toward the child entries also or the child entity also. So for example, let's say that if you are deleting entry from the parent table, in case of cascade type equal to all, whatever entry that is available into the child table, it will also be deleted. Similar to that, everyone, in case of the persist, it is applicable only for the save operation. Merge, it is applicable only for the update operation. Remove, it is actually applicable for the delete operation. Let me take a very, very simple example for you. If I'm talking about the employee and the account, then definitely we can say that one employee can have multiple account. Yes or no? One employee can have multiple account. So can I say that relationship from employee to account is going to be one-to-many relationship? Yes or no? Yes, it is. But if I'm talking about from account to employee relationship, then can I say that relationship from account to employee is going to be many-to-one relationship? Is that clear? Is that clear? Yes, it is. Then if I'm talking about the next part, then into the next part, you can say that class is available employee. So for example, let's say that if you wanted to write down the code, then first of all, what actually you are going to do? You are going to create a class. The name of the class is referred as the entity class. Into the entity class, you have to do one thing. You are creating one class employee. Into the class employee, whatever you wanted to create, whether you wanted to create employee ID, you wanted to create name, you wanted to create date of joining, all that you can create. I have represented them using the triple ellipsis sign. Then there is one more class available. The name of the class is actually referred as the account class. And in case of the account class, whatever be the detail available, account number, balance, salary, credit date, whatever it is available, let it be as it is. But actually you can see one thing, that if I'm talking about the many-to-one relationship, then in case of the many-to-one relationship, the very first thing that actually we used to do, see, actually I'm going to write down the things for you so that you will find something understanding. Okay. First thing, everybody, if I'm talking about the employee class, and if I'm talking about the account class, can I say that both are the entity classes? If I'm talking about the entity class and employee class and the account class, first point, can I say that both are the entity classes? Yes or no? Yes, it is. This is the point number one. Then everyone talking about the next portion. So while talking about the next portion, you can say, because from the employee side, it is one-to-many relationship. So to maintain the one-to-many relationship, always it has to talk about the private list of account. And here actually it has to maintain a account list. It has to maintain a account list. Is that point okay? And from the account side, because it is going to be many to one relationship, means many accounts can belong to one employee. So on the account side, we can say that we have to create an object of employee class. First everyone, placement of this variable is clear. Okay, then everyone, we used to do one thing. Actually, you know it very well. Whenever we are maintaining these kinds of relationship, then I have to use one annotation. The name of the annotation is called one-to-many annotation. And whenever we are talking about the one-to-many annotation, then we have to use one more thing that is actually referred as the mapped by attribute. And for the mapped by attribute, we have to specify the name of the field. We have to specify the name of the field. Is that point okay? Is that point okay that we have to write down mapped by? Okay. And see everyone, if I'm talking about the employee entity, for the employee entity, the relationship is going to be one-to-many entity, one-to-many relationship. In case of one-to-many relationship, if I'm talking about the default fetch type, then definitely the default fetch type is going to be lazy. And because the default fetch type is going to be lazy, so I do not want it to change it. But if I wanted to change the cascade property, then definitely to change the cascade property, we have to write down the thing that is called cascade dot all. Is that point okay? We have to write down a thing that is called cascade dot all. So this is one thing that is actually done. Here, if I'm talking about the relationship, then definitely the relationship is going to be many to one relationship. And whenever we are talking about the many to one relationship here, if I wanted to change the fetch type, then definitely to change the fetch type, I have to use the fetch attribute. For the fetch attribute, we are writing the thing is going to be that is fetch type dot. Let's say I am talking about the thing that is called lazy. So placement of fetch type is clear, everyone. Similar to that, everyone, you know it very well that if I'm talking about the one-to-many relationship, then in case of the one-to-many relationship, you know it very well that foreign key is always maintained on the many side. The foreign key is always maintained on the many side. Because the foreign key is always going to be maintained on the many side, so can I say that foreign key will be available in the account table? Foreign key will be maintained in the account table. Yes or no? Is that clear? Then everyone talking about the next portion. And actually we have to specify the foreign key column name. To specify the foreign key column name, we are using one more attribute. The name of the attribute is called join column. And we are talking about the name. And here actually name that I wanted to provide for the foreign key column is going to be employee underscore ID. Is that okay? That's good. Then everyone, so if I'm talking about the relationship between employee and the account, what you would love to say? This is a unidirectional relationship, option number 1, or this is a bidirectional relationship, option number 2. Please tell me. Definitely, this is going to be a bidirectional relationship. Why this is a bidirectional relationship? Because if you are having object of employee, using the object of employee, can you access the detail about the accounts? Answer is yes, because variable is directly available into the employee object. Similar to that, if you are having an object of account, then this account belong to which employee? Can you access that detail directly? Answer is yes. Can you access that detail directly? Answer is again going to be yes. Is that okay? So this is actually an example of bidirectional relationship. If you are creating an object of the employee, then simply you can create the object of the employee EMP equal to new employee. Similarly, let's say that I'm talking about the two accounts. So object of the two accounts is created here. But because this is the bidirectional relationship, so definitely, first of all, I have to send the account list for the employee, and for every account, I have to set the employee also. Because when employee and account both are having cross reference of one another, then actually persist method will be able to do the job. Getting my point? So first of all, shall I add both the accounts into a list of accounts? First of all, shall I create simple list of accounts, and into the list of accounts, I shall add both the accounts. Yes or no? Thereafter, what should I do? For the employee, I should call the set account list method. Into the set account list method, I have to pass that account list. Then what I have to do, I have to take an object of account, and for every account object, I have to call account1.setEmployee, and definitely I have to pass that EMP object also. Clear this is? We are setting account for the employee. Thereafter, we are creating a list of accounts. Into the list of accounts, we are adding both. And finally, for the employee, we are adding this account list. So everyone, please take a look at this highlighted part and do let me know if you are having any confusion. Do let me know if you are having any confusion. Shall I proceed further? Shall I proceed further? See, so the next thing that actually available here is everybody, simple logic that you should keep into your mind. This time, what I have to do, I have to call the versus method. To call the versus method, I need entity manager. How to get the entity manager? First of all, we need to take the entity manager factory using the persistent object, a persistence class. Once using the persistence class, we are having the entity manager factory. Then using the entity manager, we are going to get the entity manager. After getting the entity manager, then we have to call the persist method. But the question arises, into the persist method, what should I pass? Shall I pass the object of account or shall I pass the object of employee? Please tell me your opinion. Option 1 or option 2? Please tell me your opinion. Option 1 or option 2? Definitely, I have to pass object of employee class, because you can see that cascade type I have actually applied on the employee. I have not applied the cascade type on the account. So that's why I have to pass the object of the employee class. And there is one more common sense based thing. Before saving the account, can you save the, before saving the employee, can you save the account? Before saving employee, can you save the account such that into the account table employee ID is working as a foreign key? So definitely you cannot do that. First, you have to set the employees. You have to save the employees. First, the employees are saved. Then actually you have to save the corresponding accounts. And definitely the generated employee ID is going to work as a foreign key into the accounts table. Is that okay? Yes, it is. That's nice. Then everyone, talking about the next part. Talking about the next part. So this is one part that actually we have done, calling the versus method. So this is one simple example of the relationship among the objects. I hope this example is clear for everyone, because once you understand this example, then you can do almost any example. Into the many-to-many relationship, ultimately a new table is going to be generated. In case of one-to-one relationship, you can use the concept of foreign key also, or you can use the concept of shared primary key also. Both options are available to us. So very first thing, everybody, is that part. Can I assume that everybody comfortable here? Yes or no? Can I say that everybody is comfortable here? Answer is yes. Okay. Now let's say that next thing is available, what I am talking to you. Let's say that we are taking all the data from the REST API. Let's say we are taking all that data using the REST API. When we are taking all the data using the REST API, so the very first thing is that everyone, if you are specifying the object of the employee, then for the object of the employee, what will be the case? Let's say if I'm talking about some of the data members for the employee object, I'm talking about the employee ID, which is auto increment. If the employee ID is auto increment, do I need to specify that? If the employee ID is auto increment, do I need to specify that in the JSON object? Answer is no. Answer is no. Then let's say I'm talking about the name. I'm talking about the salary. Name and salary I have provided, no problem. Then everyone, I have to maintain the detail of the accounts also. If I'm maintaining the detail of the account, then account ID is the auto increment primary key column. If it is an auto increment primary key column, then I think there is no harm. Yes or no? I do not need to mention in the JSON object. If the account ID is auto increment primary key, then I do not have to mention that account ID into the JSON object. Let's say I'm maintaining the balance. Let's say I'm maintaining date of opening. Apart from specifying the balance and date of opening, I have to specify the object of employee also. Yes or no? But can I say that account object itself I'm writing within the employee object, and this time the account object again is again asking for the employee object? Yes or no? Where exactly the problem is that part clear? Where exactly the problem is that part clear? If you are writing data about the employee, so while writing data about the employee, you can write down everything. But the one thing is that you have to specify the list of account also. When actually you are specifying the list of account, then at that time you have to specify information about the account also. But among the information about the account, we need object of employee also. But the problem is that object of employee itself is actually the outer object. I cannot insert the same object as the inner object. Point is clear. Where is the problem in case of REST API? Everyone, please respond. Yes, it is. So let us demonstrate the same problem and how to overcome this problem. That is also what I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to discuss to you about the two annotation. One annotation that is called @JSON ignore annotation. And one more annotation is available that is called JSON format annotation. JSON format is only for date and time format. JSON format is only for date and time format, and JSON ignore annotation is available when you are not capable to import some operation from the JSON data. Let me go for a elaborated detailed example. Okay, if I'm talking about the relationship between the department and the employee, can I say that the relationship between the department and the employee is again going to be one-to-many relationship? Because one department can have many employees. Yes or no? One department can have many employees. Yes, it is. If I'm talking about the relationship between the employee and the department, then the relationship between employee and the department is going to be many-to-one relationship. Just opposite. Simple one. And let's say that I wanted to maintain information about the department. When I'm maintaining information about the department, so I'm using entity annotation, ID, and @generated value status is equal to generation type dot identity is what I'm writing. Thereafter, private integer ID, private string name, private string location is what I'm writing. And because one department can have multiple employees, so definitely we have to maintain the list of employees also. Is that part clear? Is that part clear? Later on, definitely we can generate the getter setter method. We can specify the default constructor. We can specify the parameterized constructor according to our demand. Then everyone, if I'm talking about the employee, for the employee, let's say we are maintaining the ID also, we are maintaining the name also, we are maintaining the date of birth also. The very first thing, everyone, if I'm talking about the default format of the date of birth in case of Java local date class, can I say that the format is YMD? Simple. But let's say that if I'm taking the input in the Indian format, then using @JSON format annotation, I am already specifying the pattern, and that pattern will automatically convert the DMY formatted date to YMD formatted date. This conversion will be automatically done by the Jackson API. This conversion will be automatically done by the JSON format annotation. Is that point okay? Yes, it is. So this is what JSON format annotation is. Whenever you are going to deal with the datetime API, then definitely this is going to be very, very useful for you. Whenever you are going to deal with the datetime API, then definitely this thing is going to be very much useful for you in your projects. Then everyone, let's say that I wanted to maintain the address also. And if I wanted to maintain the address, then instead of maintaining the address as a simple string value, don't you think that it will be used to embed a address object? Means I should create a class address. That class should not be an entity class, but that class should be an embedded class, embeddable class. And using that embeddable class, I can directly integrate the object also. Have you already gone through the embeddable annotation? Granularity mismatch, possibly day number 13, 14, 15 of the Hibernate classes. Yes, it is approximately. So if I'm writing @embeddable, so definitely no separate table will be created for the same. But actually you can see that one thing is available using the embedded annotation. I am providing that thing. I am providing that thing. Is that point okay, everybody? Simple one example in which actually relationship is also there, granularity mapping is also there, JSON format is also there. Then everyone, if I'm talking about the relationship from employee to department, then can I say that relationship from employee to department is going to be many to one relationship? Can I say that the relationship from is going to be many to one relationship? Make sense, everyone? And if it is going to be a many to one relationship, so definitely @many to one I have to maintain. I have to use the join column also. Apart from that, I have to specify private department. But again, the same problem is there. This time, if I'm telling you, when I'm creating the object of department, I am specifying name, I am specifying location. Then I have to specify the employee list. Into the employee list, I am specifying name, I am specifying date of birth, I am specifying address also as an object. But do I need to specify that department object again internally? I cannot. Clear? I cannot rewrite the same object again and again. It is going to be an infinite loop. So this time, can I say one thing, that at the time of accepting the employee data, you can ignore the department related data within the employee object. Later on, programmatically, we will set this data into the service layer. Make sense? Overall, while taking input, we are taking the department information. Into the department information, we are accepting name, we are accepting location. Then we are creating a list of employee. Into the list of employee, we are specifying name, we are specifying date of birth, we are specifying address. But we are not specifying any information about the department because this information is already available for us. So in this condition, everybody, there is one annotation available. The name of the annotation is actually called the JSON ignore annotation. When you are writing the JSON ignore annotation, so in this case, when employee object will be created by the REST API using the concept of deserialization, at that time, department column or department attribute will be set to null. Make sense? The department attribute will be set to null. Clear it is? Yes or no? The department attribute is going to be set to null. This is one thing that actually we have done. Thereafter, talking about the next part, everyone, how to do this thing. So you can see that when I'm going to send the object. So at the time of sending the object, first I'm sending name of the department. I'm sending the location of the department. Then into the employee list. Simple in the form of array. I'm providing name, date of birth, and I'm providing address. But can you see that no information I'm providing about the department of the employee? Answer is yes. Same thing is what actually I have to repeat. And when I'm doing the post mapping, so while doing the post mapping, we are getting the department object. Can I say that from the department object, we can get the employee list, such that employee list is having all the information, but it is having no information about the department data? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Because it is having no information about the department data. So see what exactly I am doing. I am iterating over the employee element one by one. For every employee, programmatically, I am setting the value of the department. Yes or no? By using programming, actually, we are setting the value of the department. So see, into the department, employee is already available from the REST API. The only problem was that for the employee, we do not have department. Now, department for the employee is what actually I have already specified here. So bi-directional relationship is maintained. Finally, you should call the save method and your job is done. Clear how to do this job? Rest of everything is 100% same. This is the only one patch that actually I have to tell you. Rest one-to-one relationship 100% same. One-to-many relationship 100% same. Many-to-many relationship also 100% same. There is no change because your Spring Data JPA is internally using the Hibernate for the implementation of every query. Clear it is? That's nice. That's nice. So this is what actually your association mapping is. And with the completion of the association mapping, Spring Data JPA is completed. Today, for the today's agenda, we are having further things available for us. Let me actually once open some files, and the file is available for the day number 12. Into the day number 12, everyone, we are going to have discussion about one thing that is called project Lombok. Apart from the project Lombok, we will discuss about one more interesting thing that is called the Swagger. And after the Swagger, we will discuss about the Logger also. First of all, everybody, how exactly use the project Lombok? First point. So far, whenever we wanted to use any third-party library, then we have to include that library within the pom.xml file. Yes or no? If you wanted to use any library into the Spring Boot, you have to include that library into the pom.xml file. The dependency is attached and now everything will be handled by that dependency. The same job you have to do for the project Lombok also, but before adding project Lombok dependency into your project, you have to install project Lombok also. You have to install project Lombok also. And how to perform installation of the project Lombok. So these notes are already shared to you. Into these notes, can you see that there is one link available for you? And into this link, you have to first of all download the lombok.jar file from this link that I have pasted on chat. This link I have taken directly from the notes. This link I have taken directly from the notes. So first of all, everybody, please download this lombok.jar file. Have you done? Just click on the link. It will be downloaded into your PC. I hope you have done with the downloading. I am proceeding for next step. And now actually I am opening the containing folder. After opening the containing folder, can you see that there is one jar file available? In your PC, it will be Lombok. In my PC, it is Lombok 1 because duplicate copy is getting downloaded. So here, first of all, I need to do double click. Can you see everybody? Can you see everybody? This kind of screen, is it available to you? That kind of screen, is that available to you? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Once this kind of screen is available to you, those who are facing error, please try to re-download. Almost no such cases are reported whenever there is an error. See, here actually everybody, can you see there is one button available that is called for the specify location? Can you see that one button is available that is called the specify location? But please once. Okay. How many of you are having STS shortcut? How many of you are having STS shortcut? Those who are having this STS shortcut, once do right click. After doing the right click, please go to open file location. Go to open file location. Are you able to go here? Just do right click on this STS shortcut. After right clicking on the STS shortcut, directly you need to click on the open file location. Those who are not able to find out, they can directly go from here also. They can directly go from here also. Getting my point, everyone? First of all, have you opened this location? Once you have opened this location, please once copy this path. Please once copy this path. Have you copied this path? Now, when you are running the project Lombok, here now you need to click on the specify location. After clicking on the specify location, you need to paste the path, go to this location, and after going to this location, can you see that directly we have to directly select the IDE exe file. Directly we have to select the exe file of the library. So exe file, it is auto detecting. Exe file, it is auto detecting. Have you done with that? In my PC, Eclipse is already installed, whose path it is already taking. So thereafter, everybody, what you need to click on? You need to click on install update. You need to click on install update. And thereafter, once you are actually clicking on the install update, so can you see the message that install successful is available here? Thereafter, it is giving you 3 instructions. In your project, you have to include the lombok.jar file. You need to exit and restart your IDE, and then you may need to rebuild your project. You may need to rebuild your project. So first step is all about the installation. This part is actually done. Clear, everybody? This part is actually done. And once this part is done, everybody, so in my STS, it was already installed. If you have done the fresh installation, then in case of fresh installation, it is better that you should perform the restarting by going to the file menu. Go to the file menu. There is button available called the restart button. It will save the workspace. It will reload. So let it reload the things. Okay, almost started. Restarting is done. Restarting is done. Now see what exactly the project Lombok is doing. For this part, everybody, I'm going to take an example directly for you. And last time I have provided you component till example number 24. I have provided you till the example number 24. Now I'm going to create one more example. This time I'm going to create a plain core Java project. Because Lombok is a library that is not specific to Spring Boot, it is a common library that you can use even with a core Java project also. And what is its specialty that actually I am going to tell you. If you wanted to create a normal project, you can. Better to create a Maven project. So first of all, I am going to create a simple Maven project. I'm going to create a simple Maven project. Default location, let it be as it is. And if I'm talking about the archetype, then for the archetype, we have to write down Maven archetype quick start. So Maven archetype quick start is what exactly I am writing. Thereafter, I am clicking on the next button. And after clicking on the next button, then I am talking about the group ID. And if I'm talking about the group ID, then definitely normally we used to write down this is going to be com.masai school. Artifact ID, I am writing block number 28 underscore SB201 underscore example number 25. And into the example number 25, I am talking about Lombok. I'm talking about Lombok. No instruction is actually required. Thereafter, I am clicking on finish button. Let it be created. Have you done? Oh, sorry, it's done. So pom.xml file is available. Right now, if I'm talking about the pom.xml file, then into the pom.xml file, maximum JUnit is available for us. The very first thing that I'm doing is everybody, I'm changing the version to 17. JUnit dependency is actually of no use for me. So I'm making it a comment. After making it a comment, I wanted to add the Lombok dependency also. How to add the Lombok dependency? First of all, please go to mvnrepository.com. And after going to the mvnrepository.com, directly you should search for project Lombok. Directly search for project Lombok. First is available and directly you can select any version of project Lombok. So let me copy this version and I'm adding that version here. I'm adding that version here. Into this version, everybody, that is scope equal to provided that you can remove, no problem. Let it be available during the compilation. Shall I proceed further? Have you done with adding this dependency? From this link, directly you can take and you can add the dependency. The link is available on the chat. The link is available on the chat. Then actually because JUnit dependency I have commented, that's why test classes are not very much happy with me. I am deleting all the content of the test class. Let me update this project. Project updation is done. Into the MVN repository, Maven dependencies. Can you see Lombok is added properly? Yes or no? Can you see that Lombok is added properly? Okay. That's good. Now, src main app.java, let it be available as it is. First of all, everyone, I wanted to create a class. Name of the class that actually I am writing is, let's say that the employee class. Into this employee class, for example, let's say that I am talking about few fields. One field I am writing is that is called private integer ID. I am creating a plain core Java class, means Pojo class is what I am creating. No entity I am creating here. So the very first thing that I'm writing is private integer ID. Next thing that actually I am writing is going to be private string name. The next thing that actually I am writing is going to be, let's say, private string. And let's say that I'm talking about private double. And I'm talking about package, such that package we are actually accepting in LPA, that is called the lakhs per annum. This class I have created. Now what I wanted to do, the very first thing that I need to do is I wanted to create a default constructor. Okay, sir. Default constructor is created. Now I wanted to generate the constructor from the fields. When I'm generating constructor from the field, so I'm selecting all, thereafter I'm generating the constructor. Okay, sir. Constructor is also generated. Once the constructor is also generated, thereafter I am talking about the setter getter method. And if I'm talking about the setter getter method, then setter getter method is also what exactly I am generating. Setter getter method is something also what exactly I am generating. Now everyone, actually I wanted to generate the toString method. Into the toString method, I do not want it to include ID. Into the toString method, I do not want it to print the ID. I just wanted to print the name and package in LPA. And if I'm talking about the equals and ignore case method, can I say that if the two employees are having the same ID, then they should be treated as same? Yes or no? Yes, it is. So let me generate the same thing here. So you can see that actually in a short span of time, I have actually generated a class employee. Into the class employee, we are having constructor also. We are having a default constructor also. Apart from the default constructor, we are having parameters constructor also. We are having the getter setter method also. Then we have the toString method in which ID is not printed. We are having hashcode and equals method. They are working on the single attribute that is called ID. Because when they are working on a single attribute that is called ID, so one complete class is getting generated. Can I say that in a single project, it is very common to generate such kind of classes 100 number of times? Can I say that it is possible to create classes for hundreds of number of times? Yes or no? Yes, it is. If I wanted to create the classes, such classes for 100 number of times, now let me go for a different problem. The different problem is that everyone, for example, let's say that I wanted to maintain the state of the employee. Okay, I wanted to maintain the state of the employee. So to maintain the state of the employee, I am writing this thing. Then actually there is one more demand available. The demand available is that I wanted to maintain the hobbies also. So for example, let's say I am talking about list of string, and here I am talking about the thing that is called hobbies. So this time everybody, as I have added the two additional fields. So as I have added the two additional fields, then don't you think that I have to make changes into the parameterized constructor also? Or it is better to regenerate the parameterized constructor? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Apart from regenerating the parameterized constructor, now I have to regenerate the getter setter method also. Make sense? I wanted to regenerate the getter setter method also. Okay, sir, getter setter methods are something that actually we have selected. And now we are generating the getter setter method also. So getter setter method for the state and for the hobby is generated. Then everyone, actually into the toString method, I wanted to provide the detail about the hobbies as well as for the state name also. So if I wanted to provide the detail about the hobbies and the state name also, so in this condition, what should I do? Again, I should generate the toString method. How to generate the toString method? So again, go back to the toString. While going to the toString, just uncomment the ID. And after uncommenting the ID, then go for that part. Is that okay? Similarly, into the hash code, I am saying that whatever be the state available, that you should also count. If you wanted to count the state also, then in this condition, again delete the previous implementation. After deleting the previous implementation, again you are going to generate the hash code and the equal method. And thereafter we are saying that ID is required and the state name is required. Based on that, please generate the value body of the equals and hash code method. Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay. Then everybody, your project is running. Then the client is saying that I do not want it to maintain the hobbies. Please comment this. If you are commenting the hobbies, then don't you think that you are going to actually recall your client with some funny names due to all these frequent changes? So what exactly the source of problem is? The source of problem is that in the conventional style, when we are maintaining all that information, then definitely this is something that is very, very difficult to operate on the even Pojo classes. Do you need a better solution? Do you need a better solution? Answer is yes. So that better solution is available using the project Lombok. That better solution is actually available using the project Lombok. How this thing is available using the project Lombok? So let's say I'm creating one more class. The name of the class that actually I am writing is going to be employee Lombok class. And into the employee Lombok class, nothing special actually I am doing. I am talking about just 4 fields to you. Okay, sir, all these 4 fields are added. What is the difference? The difference is that everybody, project Lombok actually provide us so much annotation that you can actually generate no argument constructor by just using one annotation. If you wanted to generate the constructor for all the arguments, just one annotation. If you wanted to generate the getter method, you can do that. If you wanted to generate the setter method, you can do that. No problem in that. If you wanted to generate the toString method, you can generate the toString method also. If you wanted to generate the equals and hashcode method, this is what you can done also. Now, if you are, let's say, adding an additional field, if you are adding an additional field that you are writing about the private list of a string, and into the private list of a string, we are talking about the hobbies. Do I need to make any changes, or automatically Lombok will manage the things for us? Lombok will automatically manage the things for us. Is that okay? So which approach is preferred? Normal approach that you are using so far, or the project Lombok that we have started using right now? Definitely second number is okay. Okay. We were having some demands also. Into the demands, I was telling you that whenever you are talking about the equals and hashcode method, then into the equals and hashcode method, we are talking about ID and state only. How to exclude the remaining field? It is very, very easy. To exclude the remaining field directly, actually, for example, I wanted to exclude the name. Can you see that along with the annotation, there is one value available that is called exclude. If you are writing equals dot hashcode exclude, then definitely name will not be part of equals hashcode method. Similarly, package in LPA will not be part of equal hashcode method. And if I'm talking about the hobbies, it will also be not part of the equals and hashcode method. Similarly, everybody, when I'm talking about the toString method, so at the time of writing the toString method, what I need, I just actually need the all the details except for ID. So can I do the same job here also? Yes, you can do the same job here also. So the class that actually I have written this one, that is hardly just of approximately 13 lines. That class and the previous class that I have created, that is approximately of the 99s. Both are same. So what you would love to have? Previous one or this one? Option 1 or option 2? Definitely everybody would love to go for the option number 2. There is no problem. Now let's say that if you wanted to generate a constructor that is neither a no argument constructor, not an all argument constructor, then you can directly write down the constructor as a conventional way. So for example, let's say that I wanted to generate a constructor. Into this constructor, I do not want it to include ID. So I am directly going, that is generate constructor using the field. ID field is what I am eliminating, and I am generating the constructor. So all argument constructor you can generate. No argument constructor you can generate. If you wanted to generate the constructor for limited number of parameters, then definitely you can write down them directly also. Is that point okay? This is what actually your project Lombok is. So if you are using the project Lombok, then can I say that actually writing code for the entity class will be very, very easy? Because into the entity class, except for the variable, what we are creating default constructor, we are creating parameterized constructor, we are creating the getter setter method. If required, we are creating the toString method also. And sometimes we have to override the equals and hashcode method also. So can't I say that last time actually, if I wanted to write down code of some 200 lines or 250 lines for an entity, the same code I can complete within just 30 or 40 lines, and it will be more readable. Make sense? Definitely, it is going to be much more readable. Is that point okay? The power of Project Lombok is clearly visible. Yes, it is. So if I'm talking about these four annotations, that is called no argument constructor, all argument constructor, getter, and setter. All these four annotations can be replaced by a single annotation, and that single annotation is going to be data annotation. Is that point okay? That single annotation is actually called the data annotation. So if I'm talking about the data annotation, then the data annotation of the project Lombok is actually combination of getter, setter, required argument, equivalent, equals hash code, everything it is doing for you. You just actually have to include the constructor. The data is generate the getter for all the fields, a useful toString method, hash code and equals implementation that check for on non-null transient value, will also generate the setter for non-final field as well as constructor. So can I say that a single annotation is actually equivalent to multiple annotations? At the rate data is a single annotation that is equivalent to multiple annotations. So whatever you wanted to have, you can. Whatever you wanted to do, you can. So at the rate data is again itself a very, very popular annotation. Sir, how to go through the documentation? Where exactly the documentation is available? So directly you should go to projectlombok.org. When you are going to projectlombok.org, then there is feature available. Into the feature, go for the stable. When you are going for the stable, then actually all the annotations will be available for you along with the proper detail, and definitely you can go through them. Is that clear? Shall I put this URL directly into your STS example? I think it will be better. You can directly take it from here. Yes, it is. So detailed documentation is available here. Whatever constructor you wanted to generate, toString method, hashcode method, everything you can actually generate very, very clearly. Additional things are also available, creating the synchronized, non-synchronized, everything is there. But actually, normally what exactly you are going to use? Normally you are going to use these 6 annotations, 99% of the cases. Rest of the things is depending on your choice. You wanted to use data, you wanted to use default constructor. So you can go with that, because it is providing you flexibility also, that you can customize what field to include, what field not to include. Is that okay? If you wanted to verify whether sir, this code is working properly or not, then to verify whether this code is properly working or not, I'm going to the app.java class. And after going to the app.java class, let me write down the some objects. So while writing some object, I'm writing that is employee Lombok. Into the employee Lombok, then I am writing here emp1 equal to new employee Lombok. Into the employee Lombok, let's say that ID I am writing that is going to be 1. Name, for example, let's say I am writing ABC. Then the third thing that actually I wanted to provide is going to be package in LPA. So package in LPA, for example, let's say that I am writing is going to be 7.5. After writing the package 7.5, then we are talking about the state. For example, let's say state, we are talking about the Punjab. Hobby list is not available. So not available, I am passing the value null. First object is created, then I am talking about the second object. Into the second object, name of the person I am writing BCD. Package I am writing, let's say this is going to be 8.5. State again I am writing Punjab. And if I'm talking about the hobbies, then for the hobbies, for example, I am writing arrays.asList, and I am writing one of the hobby is playing cricket, one of the hobby is going to be, let's say, playing chess. Is that okay? One of the hobby is going to be okay. So EMP1, EMP2 is available. First of all, if I wanted to print the detail, can I print the detail also? Answer is yes. So if I'm writing EMP1, can I say that toString method will be called? Is it calling properly? Please check. Same format. ID is not available. Name, package in LPA, state and hobbies are available there. Okay. If I'm remembering the equals and the hashcode method, then did you remember that the equals and the hashcode method was working on the concept of ID and the state? Means if the two employees are having same ID and the same state, then definitely they should be considered as same. Clear, everyone? So if I'm writing that is emp1 dot equals emp2. So in this condition, can I expect that the answer is going to be true? Yes or no? Then we are talking about the one part that is called hash code. Then we are talking about the next part that is called hash code. Pressing Alt Shift XJ. And when I'm pressing Alt Shift XJ, can you see that the output is true and the hash code generated by both is also same? Is that clear? So can I say that equals and hash code method is also working properly? And this output may vary because hash code is calculated on the behalf of memory address. So into the first execution, then in the next execution, it can be different. It can be different, no guarantee that they will be same. Then everyone talking about the next part. Then I'm talking about the next part. So while talking about the next part, let's say that if we are performing the comparison using the comparison operator, that is actually referred as the equal to operator. If we are doing the same thing using the EMP1, and if I'm doing the same thing using the EMP1, what do you think? Answer will be true or false? What do you think? Answer will be true or false? Answer is going to be false. And why exactly answer is going to be false? Because they are two different objects that are having two different memory locations, and because two different memory locations are available, that's why it is not allowed to further. or actually if I'm talking about the comparison operator, then practically comparison operator actually checks for the memory addresses. Is that okay? Project Lombok is clear. How to use the annotation in the Project Lombok, is that clear? Yes, it is. So Project Lombok is something that actually we have done. Thereafter, everyone, so this example I will share to you along with the output. Project Lombok is only that part. Remaining details you can study, mainly because you are going to create the entity classes. So definitely for the creation of the entity classes, this is going to be a great time saver for you. This is going to be a great time saver for you. So going to next part, Project Lombok, I will share to you. Then I'm talking about the next type of API, and the next type of API is referred as the Swagger API. The next type of API is referred as the Swagger API, or actually you can say that Swagger is a tool. Okay, just actually one thing that I wanted to tell you everyone. Yesterday we were talking about the Spring Data JPA, and while talking about the Spring Data JPA, if I'm talking about the student controller, can you say that into the student controller, I have created a lot of endpoints? Can I say that I have created a lot of endpoints? So if I'm talking about the total endpoints available, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Approximately some 15 endpoints are available here total. That type API I have created. So can I say that when I am creating an API, so can you say that I am a provider? Because I'm providing my API to be used by other application. So this time, can I say that I am a provider? Yes or no? Simple example. If you are booking a train ticket from Make My Trip, practically the ticket is going to be booked on the IRCTC website. Yes or no? Practically, the ticket is going to be booked on the IRCTC website. Answer is yes. So can I say that Make My Trip is actually using the APIs that are provided by IRCTC? Yes or no? Definitely IRCTC is not going to provide access to the database. So what exactly IRCTC will do? IRCTC is having an API, and IRCTC is providing the API to the Make My Trip. The Make My Trip is actually using that API. Make My Trip is having its own interface, but Make My Trip is actually depending on the IRCTC for every ticket booking. In this condition, can I say that IRCTC is the provider? But if I'm talking about the Make My Trip, then it is a consumer. Yes or no? So what is the mean of provider and what is the mean of consumer? Is that part clear? Yes, it is. So according to this principle, definitely we can say that if we are talking about the Trivago.com, that is a hotel booking website, then definitely Trivago.com is also a consumer. And if we are talking about the hotels, then they are having their own API. So they are working as provider. Similar to that, if I'm talking about the flight booking system, then in case of the flight booking system also, whether you are going to purchase your uh, air ticket using the Make My Trip, using Go Ibibo, using bookings.com. So what exactly they are doing? They are actually using the APIs that are provided by the airlines company. So whenever we are talking about the application that is running on the REST API, then there is one person who is providing the REST API. That person is known as the provider, and the person who is actually using the API, that person is actually referred as the consumer. So provider is available for us, consumer is available for us. When provider and consumer both are available for us, then one question arises. That's a right now in this case you are a provider. Right now in this case you are a provider. You are clear cut giving the knowledge that yes, there are 16 different endpoints you have created. Every endpoint is definitely unique, but how exactly you will convey that information to the consumer? Challenge is clear. The main challenge for me is how to convey all that information to the consumer. Definitely I cannot open the code. Definitely I cannot open the code in front of them. This is not recommended. So can I say that like actually Java is already providing us standard documentation. Spring is already providing us standard documentation. Project Lombok is providing us standard documentation. In this manner, if we can provide documentation of our project to the client, then can I say that life of the consumer will be very, very easy. And practically it is my moral duty also. Otherwise, how they will use that? Is that point clear? I wanted to provide documentation of my REST API to the consumer. By looking at the documentation of REST API, the consumer will be able to spot, okay, this URL, what type of request, what is the URL, what data I have to pass, what header I have to pass, what request body I have to pass, what output I will get, what type of exception I can get. If all that information is available to the consumer, then definitely consumer can create a robust application and consumer can create a proper front end. Yes or no? Is that point clear, everybody? That consumer can create a proper front end. If consumer can create a proper front end, everybody. So overall, the thing is that I wanted to provide documentation of my API. If you wanted to provide the documentation of your API, then for this thing, you have to use Swagger. Use of Swagger is clear. The very first point, it is used to provide the documentation of the REST API. But use of Swagger is not only limited to the documentation. Swagger actually provide a web UI also. Swagger actually provide a web UI also. On that web UI, you can do complete testing of the API. You can do complete testing of the API. So don't you think that it is a testing tool also? Because Swagger is providing a complete web UI. On that web UI, you can send the get request, you can send the post request, you can send the patch request, you can send the put request, you can send the delete request. Whatever input you are providing, you can provide that input in the JSON format. Whatever output you are expecting, it will also be displayed to you in the form of JSON. So can I say that it is working as a testing tool also? Simple. Yes, it is. Similar to that, everybody, actually, it is a development tool also. Using the Swagger, you can create the REST API also, but that is not part of our curriculum, because for the API development, already we are using the Spring Boot. So development of the API, we are doing using the Spring Boot. But if I'm talking about the documentation and testing part, then definitely the documentation and the testing part can be done using the Swagger. Is that point okay? Yes, it is. So actually the Swagger is extremely easy to integrate. Swagger is actually extremely easy to integrate, and you can see that into your documentation already. You have to add two dependencies. You have to add two dependencies. The very first dependency that actually you have to add is going to be spring.openapi starter web MVC UI. Name is slightly longer one. The name is slightly longer one. The name of the API is Spring doc open API dash starter dash web MVC dash UI. So let me actually directly go to the mvn repository.com. After going to the mvn repository, I am typing that. Can you see that the first URL is available? The first URL is available here. From this URL, whatever version that actually you wanted to download, you can download. You can see that the latest version is available from the 6th of August. So first we are going to this part, and after going to this part, then I am copying this API, and now I am going to integrate this API into the example that I have covered yesterday. So very first thing that actually I am doing here is, everyone, first of all, I am going to pom.xml file. After going to the pom.xml file, then actually I am going to add that dependency here. And whenever you are adding Spring doc open API web MVC dependency, so it is actually refreshing. I'm going to the dependency hierarchy. After going to the dependency hierarchy, then actually I am directly talking about that API. Into that API, you can see that a lot of APIs are available. Logging API is also available. Jackson API is also available. Validation API is also available. Can you see this? Validation API is also available. Apart from that, web MVC API is also available. That is already we are adding. Apart from that, Swagger UI API is also available. So let me do one simple job. First of all, I am directly coming to the conventional representation of the pom.xml. Right now, Swagger dependency is something that actually I have added. Once the Swagger dependency is added, everybody, then can you see two types of documentation it is going to provide me? The very first type of documentation that it is going to provide me is going to be JSON documentation, and second type of documentation that it is going to provide me is the UI documentation. So what I need to do, first of all, let me start the application, or let me run this application. When I'm running this application, Alt Shift XB. Alt Shift XB is what exactly I am writing. So when I'm writing the Alt Shift XB, then actually you can see that alter table, etc., is there. Implementing class name is printed there. If I'm talking about the URL, then can I say one thing, that the URL is going to be well, Control T, http://localhost 8080, and after writing the 8080, I am typing the URI. The URL is going to be swagger.ui.html. Take a look at this screen. Take a look at that screen. Are you able to find something that is actually looking very rocking? A beautiful UI interface is available there. And into this beautiful UI interface, whatever methods I have created, all are listed here. Even if I wanted to do testing, I can do the testing also. So for example, everyone, I wanted to add a new student. If I wanted to add a new student, then definitely I have to use post/student. Yes or no? I'm clicking on that. When I am clicking on that, can you see that request body is required this time, and the request body is required to be of application.json type. Example value is also provided by that. Response status that it is going to provide me is 200. Response status it is going to provide me is 200. Media type is all example. So let me once copy this. Can you see there is one button available that is called try it out? Let me click on this button. After clicking on this button, it is automatically providing a dummy JSON object. If I'm talking about the roll number, I do not have to provide because it is auto increment. The value for the name that actually I'm providing is some random name. Marks, let's say that I'm providing is 62. Marks I'm providing is 62. Can you see there is an execute button available? Answer is yes. Let me click on the execute button. And when I am clicking on the execute button, what status code I am getting? 201, that is for the created. And can you see that one entry is made into the database? Can you see that one entry is made into the database? Yes or no? Answer is yes. So I am able to check whether the application is working or not properly. Similarly, if I'm talking about the get request, then in case of the get request, actually get/student is there. Expected response is 200 status code. Then I'm clicking on the try it out. After clicking on the try it out, just nothing special. I have to click on the execute button. When I'm clicking on the execute button, can you see that all the details and the new object is also available? Yes or no? Done. So I hope that you are finding Swagger very, very useful. Yes or no? So using the Swagger, actually you are providing the documentation also. Apart from providing the documentation, actually you are providing a testing platform also. If you wanted to delete a student, can you delete a student? Answer is yes. Let me click on the try it out, and the roll number that I'm passing is 8. Then I'm clicking on the execute button. Once I have clicked on the execute button, I'm getting the message that is response deleted successfully. So complete execution is there. Whatever you wanted to search, every URL is going to work 100% okay for you. The documentation that I'm getting is HTML documentation, and the URL is nothing special, whatever be your server name slash. Then you have to write down Swagger UI slash index.html. Actually, index.html is optional to write down. If you are even just writing the Swagger UI, still it is going to work for 100%. And if I'm talking about that dependency, then that dependency is not mandatory, because into the updated version of the Spring Doc Open API starter dependency, that dependency is automatically included. So no need to go for this dependency right now. Okay. In the previous version, we have to add, but into the modern version, this thing is not required. Now I'm talking about one more URL to you. Can you see that it is talking about one more URL? The name of the URL is /v3/API docs. So if I'm talking about the URI, that is slash, so we are talking about localhost 8080. Thereafter, we are talking about slash. After the slash, we are writing A3, we are writing the API docs. Can you see that something that is not good looking is generated? Answer is yes. But let me copy this. And after copying this part, let's say that I'm coming here. Let me once stop this application. And then actually, I'm going to the resources folder. Into the resources folder, I'm going to create a new file. And name of the file, let's say that I'm writing is going to be data.json file. The name of the file that I'm writing is data.json file, and in the STS, what is the short key to format? Can anybody help me? I think it is Control Shift F is not working. So short key to format JSON document in STS. In Java, Control Shift F is working, but here in STS. One is writing Alt Shift F. Alt Shift F. Not working. Alt Shift F. Not working. Control Shift F is not working. Normally, in best of my memory, it is Control Shift F, but Control Shift I is available in case of not in STS. How to format JSON document? How to format JSON document in STS? Otherwise, I may have to go for, but Control Shift F. One scholar is writing it is Control Shift F, but it is not working in my case. It is not working in my case. I am writing Control Shift F. Multiple time I have pressed, but it is not working. Multiple times I have pressed, but it is not working. Might be possible this shortcut is working in Eclipse, but it is not working in the STS. Is there any option available? Undo typing, show in, then actually we are having copy quick fix. What is this quick fixes? One scholar is asking me to go to source. I am already available in the source. I am already available in the source. Right click. Then where is that code? Right click on file, open with JSON editor. Okay. Open with text editor, general text editor, system editor, in place editor, default editor, other. Is there any JSON editor available? Not available. JSON editor is not available. Right click in the code area, right click. Then we are talking about open with. Any more chances? Let me open this in the text editor. Not working. In case of text editor, even it is not working. Open with, if I'm talking about the in place editor. Actually, JSON editor plugin is what I need to download in my STS. What it is saying, cannot create the in place editor. This is probably because there is no OLE editor is available. Okay. So one scholar is talking about that into the source we have the option. Let me see. I'm going to the source option, into the source option. Toggle line, block remove comment. I think we are spending so much time on this. Better to actually go for next part. But there is actually Eclipse plugin is available. Using that I can set. Is there any online tool available that formatting the JSON object? How to format the JSON object, JSON document online? JSON viewer extension is available that actually I have to use. These are the inputs that actually I am getting, but here, can I have something better? Control A, Control C, Control V. No need to go for any plugin. It is automatically done by the online tool. Okay. So everyone, if I'm talking about this documentation, then in this documentation, can you see that everything is actually provided in the form of a JSON object? So documentation you can get in the JSON format also, and you can get documentation in the UI format also. Both are having their own significances. If you wanted to test the API, then definitely go for the JSON UI, go for the UI interface. But if you wanted to use your API, or let's say that if you wanted to provide that API to some other also, or if you wanted to do some customization, then in that case, JSON format is going to help you. Is that okay? This is the base URL. This is the description available. Then whatever URLs you wanted to add, you can add each and every URL from this. So both types of extensions are provided to you. So what is the use of Swagger and how easy it is to install the Swagger? Is that clear? You can do the customization also, but this is not part of our syllabus. Customization is yet available, but not actually our part. So two URLs are available here, everyone. So I think you can directly refer to the documentation. There is nothing special to write down. But keep this thing in mind that Spring Boot Starter validation dependency is actually not required now because Jakarta validation API is already available there. Let me remove this. Okay. This will be your updated documentation. So what we have covered so far, the very first thing that we have covered so far is the relationship mapping. Apart from the relationship mapping, we had discussion about Project Lombok also. After Project Lombok, Swagger is also done. Then everyone, Swagger actually you can use for the Spring security also, but when we will discuss about the Spring security, then I will talk to you about the same. If I'm talking about the next important topic, then the next important topic is logging in the Spring Boot. So if I'm talking about the logging in the Spring Boot, then I think, can I say one thing? All these messages that actually I am finding on my console. Can I say that these are the log messages? All these messages that I am finding on my console, can I say that these are the log messages? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. And one more thing that actually I can say you is this time actually Spring is printing the log messages on the console. Spring is printing the log messages on the console right now, which is okay because actually it is presenting or it is actually printing the current execution state only. When it is printing the current execution state only, then there is no problem. But for example, everyone, let's say that you are actually maintaining a live application. Into the live application, suddenly one user says that I am not able to make a purchase. On a single day, let's say 1 lakh users are used to visit your website. And out of that 1 lakh user, let's say that every day 3, 4 or 5 complaints you are receiving that I am not able to make purchase using the site. This is happening, that is happening. In this condition, everyone, if you wanted to diagnose what is the source of the problem, then definitely what actually action user has done, that footprint will be needed for the debugging purpose. Yes or no? Digital footprint of the user while using our application are needed whenever we wanted to use the same. Make sense, everyone? Yes or no? Make sense? Talking about the next part. Talking about the next part. Is it feasible that if you are having 1 lakh user per day, then is it feasible to print the log messages on the console? Is it feasible to print the log messages on the console? Can you please tell me? Definitely not. It is going to be a pure nonsense. It is going to be a pure nonsense. So what is the solution that actually we can have? If I'm talking about the solution that actually we can have, then definitely possibly one of the solution that if I'm talking to you, can we put these log messages into the file? It will be a better choice because whatever data once we are writing into the file, it is available for us for the longer duration. And it is actually a kind of persistence data that we can access later on also for the analysis purpose. Clear it is? Definitely yes. So for this thing, actually everyone, and see, one more thing, based on the severity, it might be possible that we wanted to log some messages and we may wanted to ignore some messages. Let's say if there is no error, if everything is going on smooth, then what you will do by maintaining that data? There is no logic. Mainly we are interested in the data that is actually generated due to exceptions. Yes or no? Mainly we are interested in the data that is actually generated using the exception. Make sense? For the debugging purpose, if everything is going smooth, then why to take care? Definitely. So can I say that what message I wanted to log and what message I do not wanted to log? I want to take control on that also. I wanted to take control on that also. Answer is yes, definitely I wanted to take control. So first of all, everyone, from all that discussion, the very first point, logging the messages using the system.out.println on the console, this is a bad decision. Why exactly this is a bad decision? Because first of all, data will not be available to us. Second, we cannot categorize the log messages properly. Let's say that I wanted to put the error messages in one file. I wanted to put the trace messages into the another file. If you are using the system.out.println, then you cannot achieve that purpose. So you can see one thing, that the message which actually shows the flow of execution in the application are called log messages. Server logs are important part of development that record the activity or event that the system is performing at any given point of time. Application logging is a powerful development tool that is important for production level support and debugging. Writing these log messages using system.out.println statement is not a industry standard because first point, System.out.println messages are written on the log, which is a single threaded processing. So let's say if you are going to write down 50,000 log messages in a single second, do you think it is feasible to write down 50,000 log messages in a single second? Answer is no. Actually, your console will overflow. But let's say that 50,000 messages, if you are writing across the 10 different files, then I think this is possible with the help of multi-threading. Yes or no? Yes, it is. Definitely, it is feasible. Then everyone, you can see one more thing, that message is system.out.println. Messages cannot be written to the files timely. System.out.println cannot categorize the log messages. We will not be able to disable a specific type of log messages based on the requirement. To overcome this issue, Java actually already come up with various logging framework. If I'm talking about the default logging framework that is provided by Java itself is java.util.logging, that you are going to use almost never. That you are going to use almost never, because it is a very primitive type of product that is containing just basic functionality, which is not suitable for the industry standard. So some further open source APIs are available. Like one of the API is available that is called Log4j, that is called the most popular logging API. The next API is available Logback API. This Logback API is what Spring Boot is using by default. Then Log4j2 is available, that is comparatively a better version. Then everyone, again the same situation takes place. Like for example, if I am talking to you Hibernate, one application is created using Hibernate. One application is created using Eclipse Link. One application is created using Top Link. One application is created using Hibernate. One application is created using Eclipse Link, and one application is created using Top Link. Then don't you think that if they are using their native API, then portability of the code will be a big challenge? Yes or no? If they are using the native API, then portability of the code is going to be a very, very big challenge. Make sense? Hello, good morning. Anybody there? Are you able to understand what I'm saying? Simple plain English. Out of 10 replies for the next question, I receive hardly 1 or 2 replies. What happened, batch? I don't think that I'm teaching you any rocket science. These are the basic topics. So overall, everyone, the problem that I was telling you, that if you are using a specific framework to write down your code, then definitely there will be portability problem. Similarly, everybody, if you are writing your logging API, or if you are writing your logging related code using a specific API, then definitely there will be portability problem. Like in case of Hibernate, Toplink, Eclipse Link, to overcome the portability problem, to overcome the problem of the portability, Java Persistence API standard is available. Yes or no? To overcome the problem of the portability, there is one common API available. That common API is referred as the JPA, that is called the Java Persistence API. Similar to that, everybody, in case of the logging framework, to overcome the problem of portability, there is one framework available. That framework is called SLF4J, Simple Log Format. SLFJ is actually not an implementation of logging, it is a specification of logging. And if you are using SLF4J library in future, like by default Spring is using the logback. If you wanted to use the log4j, if you wanted to use the log4j too, then you do not have to take care about the underlying implementation. You do not have to make changes into your code. SLF4j will automatically manage the things for you. Is that analogy clear? That SLF4j is the specification, but if I'm talking about the log4j, logback, and the log4j2, then definitely they are working as the implementation. See, now I'm talking about the different level of log messages, and definitely based on the library, you may find some more also. But I'm talking about the general. In case of the general, if I'm talking about the log format, log message level, then 5 levels are available. If I'm talking about the most lame, or if I'm talking about the unimportant kind of level, then the unimportant kind of level is called the trace. The next level, that is, you can say, very slightly important. This is what actually referred as the debug. After the debug, the next level is available, that is called info. And after info, the next level is available, that is called warn. And finally, the most important level is actually referred as the error. The most important is actually referred as the error. So in this condition, everyone, can I tell you one thing, that trace is actually the least important log level. And if I'm talking about the error, then definitely error is the most important log level. Make sense? Yes, it is. Oops. Trace is the most important log level. So if I'm talking about the error level, so definitely you can see, you can go through this text, whatever summarization I have given you, they are available here. Next thing, actually, whenever you are talking about the logging framework, then first thing you need is the logger object. Second thing you need is the appender object. Appender object to specify where to write down. Next thing is available layout object. Layout object to specify what will be the format of the log messages. And if you wanted to specify that format, then you can define in the XML also, you can define in the properties also, you can define in the YAML also. So overall, the thing actually that we are going to use is SLF4J, that is called simple logging facet for Java. Simple logging facet for Java. This example we are going to take, but not today. This example we will cover on Tuesday. This example we will cover on Tuesday. And it's time for the leap session, everyone. Before the leap session, there is 5-minute break for you. So see you again back at 1 p.m.
Same. Yeah. So let me walk through this PPT friends, which again, I mean, same as last time which you have seen. Okay. So I hope you know about this reactor framework. If any interviewer asks the question, first you need to ask him to repeat the question if required. Then you can come up with some examples. So once if he's satisfied, then you can explain your approach. See, this is, I mean, from the DSA point of view. Okay. So then obviously ask you to code. So you should code it. Then obviously once you code, immediately don't show to the interview. So first you try with different kinds of edge cases, right? Then obviously the interviewer asks, let's say if it is taking n square or n cube time complexity, so he'll ask you to minimize. Minimize, I mean to say optimize, right? In terms of the big work, right? So first, always you please start with the brute force approach only. Any DSA interview is happening, so please start with brute force approach, right? So if they ask you, obviously they'll ask you to optimize, then you can start with maybe, let's say if n square is taking, then convert to n log n by sorting and apply 2-pointer or whatever approach you have learned. Then if required, if you ask you to further optimize to n, then you can reduce to n. But please start with n square or n cube approach. Slowly you reduce the time complexity. Never ever start with optimized approach. So if you start with your optimized approach code, what will happen is, so the maybe two cases are possible. One case is interviewer come to know that you already know this question. So still if you know the solution, but please start with brute force only. Okay, na? Right. The next, so same thing, which repeat example, approach, code, test, optimize, same what I have explained. This. Okay, I think you will be having, I'll be sharing two primer links with you. So one primer link is containing the class one and second is homework assignment, whatever you call. So this, I think you know already the inbuilt, whatever, if you are using Windows, then please follow this. Okay. Now at the end, we will anyhow share the submission form. So please try to fill that form. Okay, cool. Thank you. Anyone have any doubts before I share these resources, this stuff? Since this PPT is already explained, right? So I'm not going to take much time because anyhow it's time waste only again and again. Okay. Yeah. Any questions anyone having? Yeah. I don't think so. Questions are there. Okay. Yeah. Correct. So let me share these two links quickly. Let me stop my screen. So Kapil, the link which you have shared is updated ones, right? From that sheet. You were in mute.
Yeah. In that sheet, I have already provided two links. One is for in class and one is for assignments.
Yes, yes.
Into the S3 Friday, then the last column SB201.
Okay, right. Sure. So this sheet has access to all the students, I believe.
Directly, we used to provide the link to them in the class.
Okay.
Once I have actually copied the link and I'm providing them link in the class. So everybody,
Okay.
the ChatGPT primer link is actually available for you. ChatGPT primer link is available for you. The same link, same kind of one more link I will share to you on Slack. This is your assignment that actually you have to do, and definitely filling the form, and uploading the recording, etc. Everything is what you have to do, same as it is. So one activity is one in class activity, and one more activity is your assignment activity. So once please click on that, and I am enabling the multiple participant to share the screen simultaneously. You people are please requested to share your screen positively. Just 2-3 scholars have started so far. Everyone, to not to disturb you, I am actually muting myself, putting my camera off, but I am continuously active on chat. And whenever I feel that there is something to tell you, then mode of communication will be chat only now onwards.
Yeah, Suraj, you can start. Everyone, please start solving. I mean, link is already being in the chat. So again, I'm sharing one more time. Those who haven't got the link. Yeah, I shared one more time. Same link only. This. Yeah, I'll be turning up.